Hey everyone, it's Bulldog back with another video, and CG just released the kit for Wat Tambor, and I am super excited about it. This kit looks absolutely amazing. I wanted to get on here and talk about it a little bit. Obviously, it's going to be good for Separatists, probably pretty important for the territory battles that are coming up. But this is an absolute game-changing kit. And that's because it's basically a plug-and-play character that's it's going to make almost any team better. It's going to take a lot of teams that, or even characters that weren't very good, and give them some use. And the reason is because while he does have some Separatist synergy here, you'll see gains. See at the start of battle, other Separatists and dark side droids gain max protection, equal to 30% of his health. So there is some synergy there with droids and Separatists. But the big thing down here are these new techs, which can be used on anybody. Doesn't have to be light side, dark side, whatever. And these things are extremely powerful. So I'm not going to spend any time on the first part of the kit. That you guys can read that. There's nothing necessarily amazing there. But down here with this med pack, where the character will recover 5% health and protection at the start of each character's turn, double protection if it is a Separatist. Although I say double protection, I guess I'm not. It says 5% bonus protection, so that's actually a little different than protection recovery. When I first read this, I actually thought it was just more protection recovery, but bonus protection is what's used in Nest kit that I believe that becomes very, very difficult. Which speaking of Nest, I'll actually, as we go on to the next one here, at the start of turn, recover 30% protection and dispel own debuffs. And tanks taunt when they have protection. So both of these seem like they would be amazing on Nest. So we already know how much the Kira Nest combo can be kind of ridiculous. And now throw a Wat in here, and let's see, Nest can recover protection outside of the turn, because this is, from the way I interpret it, both ally and enemy turns. So with the med pack, be recovering protection every single time. With the shield generator, recover 30% protection on his own turn and dispel the debuff. So I'm not sure what order that's going to be in. If you dispel the debuffs first and then recover protection, that's even stronger, because something like healing immunity is not going to do anything. But a lot of times when you're attacking Nest, you're waiting for Nest to take a turn, and then lose that bonus protection and then attack Nest. Give her the shield generator, and even after losing all that bonus protection, she's just going to recover 30% protection on top of that, add a Kira lead, and we'll probably get at least one crit during the turn, and that's going to be 10% more protection, and it's going to be very hard to get by Nest. Although I think most of this is going to be on offense, because I can't see the defense, see the AI being very good at assigning these. But anyways, the last one is gain 15% turn meter at the start of each enemy's turn, and then attacks ignore defense, and then can't be revived, defeated by this character. So that's something that can be good on anybody. I initially think of with the Separatists, think of Grievous, and ignoring defense and gaining extra turn meter. More turns he gets, the more he stacks his health, the more damage he does. He's going to be a nightmare if he's got this tech on. But it can be applied to almost anybody. Some of the support characters, having them gain 15% turn meter, so they go more often. You can really get some crazy things. But the one that I think is actually the game changing one is this middle one, the shield generator. Recover 30% protection, and then tanks taunt while they have protection. And this is put on at the start of the battle. So I'm assuming it's like a turn, kind of like Raid Han gets, where it doesn't matter what the speed is, he goes first, gets to use this immediately. So this is a pre-taunt. This means every single every single tank in the game can now possibly have a pre-taunt. Obviously have to put Wat in the team, and sometimes that will fit well, sometimes it won't. But this can be kind of crazy here. So I'm just going to come over to to the swgoh.gg website here, and like I just want to go through some of the tanks here. I just want to go through some of the dozens of opportunities that this opens up, and it doesn't have to be on the tank, but I think that's kind of the game-changing one. So I just want to start with that, and kind of look through some of these characters. Bosk, for example. Okay, so how do you beat a Bosk led bounty hunter team? What's the most common way? Something like First Order, where you go first and you stun Bosk before he can get that taunt up. There are various ways of doing it. It doesn't have to be First Order, but okay, now put Wat in there, and you've got a pre-taunt with Bosk. Unless you can dispel the taunt and then put buff immunity on there, he's never going to lose that that taunt until you get through. You have to get through his protection, and then he gains taunt again if the weakest enemy has protection. So again, he's got another way to gain taunt on top of that. But then look, like he's got this with his taunt. Sorry, I'm scrolling too fast here. He gets Frenzy, and so Frenzy's going to make him take a lot of turns. Every time his turn starts, he's going to gain 30% protection. So he's just going to ramp his protection right back up. It's going to be so difficult to get around Bosk if you can't ignore taunt. If you put Wat Tambor in there, so that can be kind of crazy. There's others. So fives, for example, you can now give fives a taunt. We know how good he can be, and he's got his counter chance. Put him under. I know we've got better clone leads now, but put him under like a Rex lead, and he'll gain turn meter every time he's critically hit. Then he'll be countering, and that's going to make him go even faster. Well, he'll recover that protection back up again. So being able to give fives a taunt is something that could definitely improve that character. Darth Sion. Okay, imagine Sion having a pre taunt, and then he's got ways to recover his own protection, so he can continue to get that. Everybody's gonna have to attack him. They're gonna stack him up with hatred. It's going to. I assume you're gonna run him with Nihilus. Nihilus and Traya. Nihilus is just going to gain a lot more turn meter, and then you can put that other tech on top. So which one is it? The weapon mod where it gains 15% turn meter. Put that on Nihilus after you put the pre-taunt on Sion, and Nihilus is going to go nonstop. And obviously we know what happens when he goes. So that's another way to do it. Finn. You can give Finn a pre-taunt. He has a way to recover his own protection, I believe, since they reworked him. Yeah, so he's got a three-turn cooldown special where resistance allies cover 20% health and protection. If you're running him with somebody like C-3PO or under Jedi Training Rey, there's ways to reduce that cooldown, so he can be recovering his own health and protection almost non-stop every time he gets a turn, which they get a lot of turns, whether it's his own lead or JTRs from all those exposes. So he'll be recovering protection constantly, always be taunting. It's going to make it that much harder for a resistance team. So we've seen a bunch of different teams here that you can just plug him into. First Order Stormtrooper. There's another tank that basically only has the one taunt, doesn't have a pre-taunt, doesn't have an auto taunt, but give him this and he'll constantly taunt when he's got protection. He's going to keep recovering protection if you run him under a crew lead, for example. So that'll give being able to get past crew and First Order Stormtrooper as they constantly gain turn meter, keep recovering protection. Throw Wat Tambor on a First Order squad and you can improve it. Gamorrean Guard, who's basically been a useless character. All of a sudden you can give him a pre-taunt and he's not that bad. Gar Saxon, I wouldn't put that on Gar, but what about his lead where you've got a counter chance? So give a good Empire tank, have them constantly taunting, and that could actually be something useful. Kenobi, you want a pre-taunt and pre-taunt on Kenobi? That doesn't sound like a bad idea. What about Juwani though? I actually don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right. Never played that game, but one of her problems is she only has the one taunt and it's on a 4-turn cooldown. But this could actually be kind of crazy. So imagine this under a Jedi Revan lead. So okay, so you're able to give her a pre-taunt, and then so whenever she drops below 100% health, she then recovers 5% protections for each active Jedi or Old Republic ally. So let's just imagine. So take Kenobi off. Let's take Bastel off your Revan team, because Bastel has a pretty good Jedi lead that you could use someplace else, and go with Revan, Jolie, Yoda, Wat Tambor, and Joanni here, and now you've got a pre-taunt. Whenever she drops below 100% health, she's going to recover more of that protection. She'll recover protection whenever it's her turn, that 30% protection. She's going to get that offense up and everything. And then she has this other ability. Yeah, her AoE, where for each critical hit she recovers 10% health and protection. So she's going to be taunting, and then when she falls below 100% health, she'll lose that taunt, recover more protection, which I guess will actually give her that taunt again. But so whenever she doesn't have any protection, she's going to be losing that taunt and then constantly gaining more protection, making it very hard to get around to hit Yoda, to hit Jolie. You finally kill off Joanni, and then Jolie revives her right back up, and you start the whole cycle again. So that seems like it could be a very good Revan team. L3 might actually be better to have the med pack over here, the 5% health and protection, because L3 is constantly taunting and gaining turn meter anyways. So now recovering all those health and protection after every turn, we know how much of a pain it is to get through L3. That's just going to make it even tougher. Mace, everybody's wanted Mace to have a taunt. You can finally give him a taunt. Zombie. So what about having a Night Sister team where you have Talzin, Ventress, Daka, Zombie, and Wat Tambor? That I don't know who you'd want to give that to. So you can give well, got a couple things here. This weapon mod, put that on Ventress, have her going even more often, ignoring defense. We know how hard she hits already. That's just going to beef her up even more. The shield generator, I mean, you could put it on Zombie, and that's just another way to have Zombie taunt and to keep gaining protection. But what if you could even put it on somebody like Daka, and then you wouldn't be able to control Daka unless it's something like Fracture, because she's going to dispel her own debuffs at the start of her turn. Recovering protection on top of that's going to make her really hard to take out. Even putting like a med pack on her where she continues to gain health and protection. We know how much she stacks her health up, so that 5% health can be big. So adding Wat to a Night Sister team feels like that could beef them up quite a bit. I actually didn't realize, or I'd probably forgotten, that Jedi Training Rey was a tank. So that would be a new way to approach a resistance team, because Rey, whenever we know that she's constantly taking turns, and so gaining 30% protection each time and having taunt, that's going to be a pain there. She also gains let's see, is it at the end of her at the end of her turn, she gains foresight, so she's going to have this tank that keeps gaining foresight, keeps recovering protection. That certainly sounds like a nightmare there. Normally you have her doing damage, but that'd kind of be a new twist, having her become a tank with taunt. So just completely changing how we play things. Scarif Pathfinder. We're getting down here to the one that I'm really excited about. Oh, didn't mean to click on Shore Trooper. Shore Trooper would be good as well, as another way to recover protection. Have Shore Trooper constantly taunting with somebody like Thrawn, also recovering his protection on top of that 30%. But Scarif Pathfinder, so that would be, he's a pretty good tank, but his taunt's not reliable. But now you give him this pre-taunt, auto taunt, and pair him with a team where he gets a lot of buffs. That's going to make him pretty crazy. What if you paired him with, okay, so I'm thinking somebody like Hermit Yoda or Daka. So if you have a Zeta Hermit Yoda, whenever you can give Rebel Pathfinder here Master's Training, so he's going to always have a buff. So then when he dies, he revives. When somebody with Master's Training dies, Yoda gets full turn meter and resets his Master's Training ability. Can put it right back on him. He won't have protection, but maybe we can add some way to recover protection in there. Even something like a Gen Lead where they recover protection when they gain buffs, or when he takes a turn, once Wat Tambor would have to put that auto taunt back on him. But something like Daka, whenever he revives, he's going to get more buffs. So we're kind of mixing up a bunch of different teams here, which I love. There's been a recent trend here where you pair, like you have to run all of one faction or mostly all of one faction. Wat Tambor is awesome because he's going to be able to mix into a bunch of different factions, combine things together. It's going to be so fun to theorycraft. I have no idea what's going to be the best teams. I keep clicking on these on accident. No idea what's going to be the best teams, but I know there's going to be so many opportunities here that's going to be so much fun to play around with. It's going to be one of the most versatile characters in the game. Sith Trooper, he's got a pre-taunt and auto-taunt, but adding something on top of that, we know how beefy he is. Or I'm thinking Darth Revan team here. Okay, so what's one of the biggest things with Darth Revan mirror matches is how do you get your fallen bastila to go before the other one? Okay, give her this weapon mod, and then when the opponent's Darth Revan goes, that's going to give Bastila 15% turn meter, and she'll go next. And now even if she's so much slower than your opponent, she's jumped ahead there, and we've kind of changed that entire game. And we're just looking at tanks here because that, like I said, I like the pre-taunt and everything. So here's the one I love: Stormtrooper Han. We know when Han is taunting and gets hit, everybody gains 20% turn meter. Well, now you've got a pre-taunt and an auto taunt for Han, so we don't have to worry about this 4-turn cooldown where all you had to do was dispel buffs. He's pretty slow, so getting him to go first was an issue. And then he's got this unique where he recovers 5% protection. Is that each time he's damaged? So he's going to basically taunt until he dies, because every time he gets hit, he's going to get more protection, which is going to keep him taunting. So just imagine pairing him with other way. Like, okay, well, I've had fun in the past pairing him with Vandor Chewie. So now you can keep him taunting, keep anybody from attacking Chewie, who can keep recovering the protection. Add somebody like young Han in there, who has an attack that can do that can recover protection for a target ally. So to keep Han's protection up, I feel like Stormtrooper Han can be an absolute nightmare paired with Wat Tambor. So that just sounds like it would be really fun there. There's a lot of things you could do. You could do there to open that up. Put a Rex lead on top of that, so that Stormtrooper Han also gains turn meter. So that the more he's gaining turn meter, the more he's going to recover that 30 protection at the start of his turn. So in fact, any of the Geonosians, scrolling too much here. Okay, this med pack sounds like it'd be awesome on a Geo team, because they're Separatists, so they're going to get that bonus protection. But they're essentially sharing all their health and protection, constantly equalizing health. So you can put this on any of them, and it's going to help heal all of them. So that would be pretty amazing. Yeah, if you get enough turns where Wat Tambor can spread several of these, where you get a tank that's recovering 30% protection every turn. Put the med pack on somebody else, that's helping them recover even more. There are so many options here. I can't even begin to touch them all. Big Z down here. Well, what's one of the biggest weaknesses for that Old Republic squad is they're slow and they don't have a pre-taunt. Well, now there's kind of been a fifth slot there where we don't know who to put in anyways. Well, put in Watt here, and now Big Z's got an auto taunt. So that doesn't sound like it'd be very fun to get through. Again, and most of these are going to be for offense, so I'm curious to see what he does on defense, how he assigns both which techs he chooses and how he decides who to place them on. If it's just random, if he's putting a random tech on a random character, that's not going to be good on defense. So that, and I don't really like that. I like being able to have tough defensive teams and have some fun there. But yeah, we just scrolled through some of these tanks, and there's been so many options. I don't know if I should scroll through. Oh, come on now. Scroll through support or not. I changed my trackpad so it was touch click instead of using the actual click, so it wasn't clicking in the mic. And you can see I'm not used to it. I keep messing up with my mouse and clicking as I'm trying to scroll. But some of these support characters. Okay, so I talked about Bastila, Ventress. Okay, BB-8's classified as a support. Give him that 15% turn meter whenever an enemy takes a turn, and he's going to get his secret intel off quicker. There's so many options. So you've got anybody with a revive. So like Solo here, gaining 15% turn meter with every enemy turn. Just going to make the quicker he gets to his turn, the quicker he can revive, the harder everything gets. I don't see things that are as interesting. We talked about Nihilus and Traya, how much of a nightmare they could be. Palpatine already has a bunch of turn meter gain. Same with like Yoda, being able to have them ignore protect. Yoda already does enough damage. Have him ignoring protection. They're not ignoring protection. I'm sorry, ignoring defense. I haven't been saying that the whole time. Ignoring defense is going to make him hit that much harder. I already talked about having Wat on a Jedi Knight Revan squad. I wonder what it'd be like pairing with somebody like Hermit Yoda. Having two characters like that going nonstop. That could certainly be interesting. We talked about the Night Sisters. Newt's obviously a separatist. Talked about a Kira team. So there are a ton of options. So I think I've kind of made my point here. We don't need to make this video any longer than it needs to be. But this character is going to be so much fun. I wish I had access to a test server. Oh my goodness, if I had access to the test server, I would absolutely be in heaven right now. I'd probably be spending days testing some of these characters, some of these combinations. There's so many things you can do. So I'm sure there'll be something that steps up as far as arena as being maybe the best combination. I have no idea. I'm not even going to try to predict what that is. There are so many things to try, but that's what excites me about this is you've got all these old teams or old characters that Wat can possibly pull out of the grave. You can put him in so many different areas, so he's going to be fun Grand Arena to have, and you can kind of mix and match based on what your opponents are to see what you really need. I'm super excited about the. If I haven't made it obvious already, I'm super excited about this character. Cannot wait to get my hands on him. Kind of dreading how we're going to acquire him and how long that's going to take, but once we get to him, I think he's going to be super fun, super good for the game, and this is probably the most excited I've been about a character in quite a while. I obviously like to do a lot of theory crafting, so I'm going to have a lot of fun with him whenever I get him. I'm sure there are so many options that I haven't even touched here, but it's definitely going to be it's going to be a fun character. So thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you and I hope he's as good as we think he's going to be, and everybody enjoys him once they acquire him, regardless of how painful that might end up being. So thanks a lot for listening, everybody, and have a good night.